Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Mike here at Gamefromscratch, and fire or tire fire. We're going to look at Unity AI and decide which category it fits in. Now, I know the world of AI when it comes to developers is very controversy-free. Nobody has an opinion here at all, right? Right? Anyways, we're talking about this today specifically because of Unity 6.2. Unity 6.2 shipped yesterday. I covered it in an earlier video. I've mostly focused on the two air quotes, major new features there. There is a new LOD system, so you can create LODs on import, and there is also World Space UI for the UI toolkit. But the big thing of that announcement was Unity AI, and that's what we are specifically going to talk about today. Now, AI functionality has been in Unity for a little bit over a year now. It used to be called something called Muse, and Muse I looked at a little bit over a year back. And if I had to pick between fire and tire fire, it was definitely on the tire fire side of the equation. It was kind of just a slight skin, slightly integrated into Unity of like Stable Diffusion and Chat GPT. It just felt, I don't know, weak. So today what we're going to look at is the new version. So what they've done is they've taken all of this Muse tools and they've rebranded it into Unity AI. So now you have the assistant side of things, which basically replaces the chat side. The generators, this is the Gen AI stuff. This is where the most controversy is for sure. And then the inference engine, and that is literally just a rebranding of Sentis. We're not going to be talking about that at all today. So here we are in Unity. This specifically is Unity 6.2 beta. And you'll notice right away, there is this AI button. This is here regardless, by the way, so if you hate AI, you are now going to have this button to look at forever. Just one of those things to be aware of, but if you want to go ahead and start it out, you basically click that button and it will install the required packages. By the way, you are going to want to have your project hooked up to the cloud when you create it, or after the fact. This needs to have cloud integration. One of those things you need to be aware of. So I'll let this run. Okay, the install portion has now completed. You'll now notice if you click the AI button again, you will have a variety of points. Right now, this is all free during the beta. We don't know what the cost is going to be in the end. That's one of those things that's going to be super important. But you'll notice the heart of this thing here is the assistant. I'm going to go ahead, check for updates, make sure that I am current. And it seems that I am. All right, so you'll notice all of your functionality is available here. The key thing here is this one. So the Open Assistant, this is chat, but this is also how things integrate. So I'm gonna go ahead, we'll drop this down into here. So let's just bring that in there. So we got our assistant dropped. This is the heart of the process. Now, this is actually when I first looked at AI in Unity. Someone did a Chat GPT integration into the Unity editor about 2 or 3 years back, and I thought that was amazing. And that's kind of where we're coming at with this one now. So this, I honestly think that this part, if it was all that Unity AI was, and it was just included in Unity 6.2, not an upsell or anything, people would be in love with this new functionality. I'm going to show you how this works. So you got this slash here, and we can do code generation stuff, commands to the editor, and we can ask them questions. What we're going to do is start with a command to the editor. So I'm going to do run, and then I'll go create 5 spheres within 5 of the origin. So like so, it will go ahead and run and figure this process out. Now this is, I do believe, all being sent up to the cloud. So if you do not have a connection, I do not believe this will work, but it's going to go ahead, figure things out. And once it is done, there you can see. So it's got an explanation of what it's going to do. Each sphere will be spaced in a random position within a 5x5 area around the origin. All right, there you go. You can actually see what it's generated. And what this does is actually creates code. So it's creating code that's going to execute. And I'm like, okay, yeah, go ahead. And there you see, we now have all of these different spheres being created within distance of the origin. So you can use it to do pretty automated things, which is actually pretty cool. So again, I can follow up on that one and I say run, and how I can interact with my scene, scale all the spheres between 50% and 200%. And so we can do a compound statement here, assign each one a random color. And even if I spell color wrong, it goes ahead with this. So again, there is a processing time for it to go ahead and generate the script that's going to run. Now this aspect, I think at worst you would just ignore it. If this was just a new feature that was integrated into Unity game engine, I think everyone would love this. I think this is really cool. I can see incredible value in it. But the thing is, this is going to be costing points. So each time I run this, my point balance that you see up here could potentially be going down. Now, those points are going to be tiered. So if you have a pro license, you're going to get a certain number of points. And of course, it's going to eventually cost for points. But once again, like I said, if this functionality was just new to Unity, this would be a win. This is awesome. I don't think anyone will dislike this. There's no ethical downsides to this, other than I guess they could potentially have trained how to make these scripts off of other people's code. But for the most part, this is just a cool feature. So now let's go ahead and look at the code side of things. So let's create a quick script. So code over a period of 5 seconds, bounce the attached object from +10 to -5 along the y-axis. All right. So again, this is all being done as a live test. I've done some very similar testing on my other machine to see how it works. But again, this is all being done live. So who knows what will break. We could definitely see a lot more red down here. Mind you, seeing red down here in Unity is a pretty normal thing. So you see over here, I'll have to expand this one out. It is generating the code to do exactly what we just said. Now, this is awesome in the fact that it makes coding much more accessible, but it also makes it so that you could potentially be creating really bad code and not know about it. So there is definitely a flip side to this. So now we're going to take this asset right here. Let's grab our bounce code, drop this on our object like so. And there you see it's created as amplitude, which is actually pretty smart because I said +5 to -. So I did a 15 range, so it switched it instead to being amplitude, and it's turned my duration into a logic thing. So let's see if this script actually runs and works. And boom, it does. That is actually pretty cool. So again, if you were just starting out, for sure, this would make things pretty easy to get up and going. Now this one is oscillating it, etc. So what I could do is, let's say I wanted to do an update to that script. So we got the new script in place. It's available over here. What you can actually do is attach things. So I could click here on attach, or I could literally just grab the script we just created right here. And then, so it's attached. That is my target there. I am running a code command like so. Let's do randomly change the color of the bouncing object every 1 second. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to try and update our code. So here we see, again, it runs. It figures out the difference that you want to do here. You can see the context that it's running on this particular object. Now it's going to go ahead and update our existing code. So it's going to base off of this code over here. So that's what you give the target for. And then, boom, we can go ahead and see there is our updated version of it. Let's just hope that that actually worked. So let's go ahead. We'll save that. We'll save that over. Oh, so it's saving it as with color. Okay, let's drop that on a different ball. So it actually smartly actually even renamed it. So bounce object, it named that first one accordingly. And then this one is bounce object with color. So let's pick one of these. Add a bounce object with color with it. So you can see how you can update existing scripts as well. And let's go ahead and see if this actually works. So we should now have 2 bouncing objects, one of which is changing color every second. And boom, color change, color change, color change, color change. Again, I don't think anyone would dislike this side of Unity AI. I could definitely see how it could be problematic in that you could have a lot of people making projects that they have no idea what they're doing. So once the code breaks and they're done, I could see where that would be a challenge. Another thing you're going to notice here, you do have these conversational options. So you can have back and forth. So I could have it where I ask something, it'll say something back and so on. Another thing I can do, so let's get rid of this one. So get rid of the code. So you'll see here, I still have, let's actually use our new one. So here, our bounce object with color. So you can pick whatever script you wanted, like so. And then here with the slash, I do an ask. So I'm going to ask, what does this code do? So you can actually send it in your, generally it wouldn't be code that you just wrote, but you could send it in code that you want to ask it some questions about, have it explain it to you. And then this is where the chat side broke down before. So again, you can break it into like a threaded conversation. So I could go back and ask follow-up questions and so on. But you can see a breakdown of basically, an explanation of what the code actually did. Again, I think everything that we have seen so far falls under the category of That's actually pretty cool. This is sort of what I saw the first time I saw Unity stuff like way back, and it is much better integrated than it was before, where the Muse chat was just basically an embedded chat GPT window inside of Unity. Now it definitely hooks up a lot better. So I gotta say, honestly, I am a lot more impressed with this side of things than I was in the previous implementation. Now we get into the part of AI that gets a little bit more controversial, and that's the generative stuff. So I'm going to click down here, and I'll say Create. And if I go down into the rendering category, you're going to notice we have these 3 topics up here. So Generate Material, Generate Sprite, Generate Texture 2D. We also got, if we go into Audio, you'll get Generate Audio Clip option down here as well. You can also get to these here. So Generate New. And then you've got the options available down here. But let's go back here, New, Create, and we're going to create a material. So this is using Gen AI. So this is, if you're going to want to find out where they're sourcing their data from. And if it's another aspect of this is if you go this route. So let's call this my material. You create this stuff. You then need to tag the created with generative AI side of your game, by the way. So that's definitely one of those things you're going to want to know about. So you can see here, this is creating a Unity texture. What do we want to call this texture? I don't know. Let's say this is going to be a contradiction in terms. Shiny stainless steel with rust spots. So yes, stainless steel is not supposed to rust. Pick how many iterations of it you want to create. I do think that this number down here is the point cost. Again, we don't know what a single point is worth, so we don't know if you're going to get so many of these or if you're going to want to be very constrained. I don't like the idea of paying a point cost for something that might generate crap. I'd rather pay the point cost when it's actually done. And I'd be interested to know if I have to pay a point cost on this one, which seemingly failed, which is definitely a thing. So, okay, let's go ahead. We'll pick this one right here, and then we're going to say, okay, select. So that is the result that we like. So there is the end result. So then what you can do is you want to have it higher resolution. Again, there's the point cost, I believe. We can go ahead and upscale this. Upscaling, cool. I'm fine with that for sure. We'll go ahead and run that process, and then once we've got that done, we can go over here and create a material out of it. So this is basically going to go ahead and create a PBR material of our object. So this is going to set up, we're going to have normal maps and so on. I do believe it automatically assigns when we're done. So this one should be done. This material should now have all of those things involved. So let's go ahead. We'll double click it. So I think we're done. Generated the PBR. I think it's out. So select. All right. Here. Let's close that down. I don't know why my material isn't being updated, though. One second. Oh, I know why. The classic I hate play mode. All right, so here we go. So here we go. It has been generated. So I forgot that I had the window running. I do that literally every time. So here you can see our result. This material has a full PBR setup. So you can see the normal map, for example, there. We could change the amount that the normal map is being affected. Which one's not moving? I think this guy isn't moving. So let's go ahead. We'll apply our material to this guy. So there you can see it right there, like that, and then go ahead. And I could, again, full PBR material, so you do have access to, there you see the varying results or the strength of said normal map. So it generates all the various different maps you need, which I do actually appreciate for sure. One thing to know about this that's kind of interesting, so going back here again, so let's go back to our shader. I can go to the map. So here is our base color map. Now this is a texture 2D. So I could actually grab it and use it as a source for here. So I could pass that in if I want to make some changes to it. This would be the equivalent of going up here, saying generate new sprite. But instead, I'm sending it in a base texture map that's already created. So this is using it as an input. We could do things like remove the background from it. We could upscale it. We could pixelate it. So if I want to go ahead and pixelate this image, I can do so. And then you will see the end result of the pixelation down here. So that is a pixelated version of our map. And then sure, let's use the new version. So you do have these tools available. Now, interestingly enough, if I scale this window, we don't actually get more room. So if you want to find about recolor and repaint, you got to use that little click over Another thing to know, if you're generating a sprite, so let's start it from the very beginning. So here, generate new sprite like this. Here is our new sprite. Over here, you have to select a model, and this is where they're training it from various different data sets. I do think you can create your own off of your own art aesthetic, but you can basically pick which style you want to go with. Again, this is where they source this data from needs to be made very, very clear. And then you can send your prompts in or whatever. And otherwise, this is just a straight up textured creator. So blue, liquid, and a cork top. Now, this is the side of AI that people absolutely, utterly loathe. I also think you can get this from many, many, many sources. It is nice, though, that they finally actually integrated it into Unity. So it's, you know, the previous Muse sprite and texture stuff, you could pretty much get the same result by using one of a gajillion different Gen AI technologies out there. Also, again, you have this tooling for upscaling and background removal, etc., that wasn't there before. That is definitely a step forward. But again, if there is a side of the equation that people really dislike, this is it. And Unity have to make it super clear where they are sourcing their models from. They also need you, as a developer, if you use this technology, need to flag your game as created with AI, which that can definitely have some issues. So again, here you can see these are the results. Again, this is fed off. I gave it an environment, so that's why we were getting all this stuff in the background. I could have just as easily switched to made something that actually made sense, like a single, like this game icons would have made a whole lot more sense and gave us a much better result. So let's try it with a different model, and I'll pause while it's calculating. All right, there you go. And there you see, much more usable. And I got to say, actually, in all honesty, these results were a lot better than what I saw from Muse the first time around, too. I don't really know what this little thing here is, but you can more or less, okay, yeah, that's the one I'll take. There is our asset. And again, if you want to get rid of or upscale it, whatever, you do have these other tools that are available here. So, yeah, select, is it promote to current asset? There we go. So, boom, there is our asset ready to go in our world. So Gen AI side of things is still there. You have probably seen this at this point in time a cajillion times before. It's just more tightly integrated now. The ability to specify the models on the fly like there is definitely an improvement over the way it worked with Muse before. But this is, again, all comes down to how that data was trained. And then we'll move on. We've got a couple of other generative things here as well. So we'll just look at them quickly. So generate new. So we've got the ability to create sounds and animation. Sounds, so we got new sound here. So there is our new sound clip. This has been appallingly bad for what I've seen. So we've got text to sound, and then we can do a generation. Let's say a gas engine car starting up and revving the motor. All right, so there we go. So there is, we could put in a negative prompt as well, pick how many we wish, how long we want it to last, and we will generate it. Again, you see, I believe this is the price over here. It is all entirely meaningless, of course, until we know what those points, how many you get, how much they cost, and so on. And until Unity 6.2 is in general availability, we're not actually going to know those details. So that's an important thing to be aware of here. But we've got this coming on. Now, the problem I think I've got here is I didn't actually turn audio recording on. So we're not going to hear them. That's definitely a challenge. Ooh, we got another problem here. Oh, no, here we go. So our clips showed up. So we got our 4 different versions of this. Everything I've heard has been appalling so far from the results. Let's just crank my sound up. Hopefully my microphone will pick it up. Like, we're getting there. Like, it's got potential, but I don't think I would use any of these in a game per se. But for placeholders, maybe. And let's just do a smaller one. A bird chirping. Like there, we'll make it 2 seconds long and generate. Let's see how it does with this. And again, hopefully you can hear it, because again, I forgot to turn on system audio recording. I forgot I was going to be doing any audio recording in this video, to be honest. So you are hearing it as my mic picks it up from my speakers. So not ideal. Let me just pause till this is done. All right, so we definitely have the Microsoft School of Progress bars, by the way, because I paused it and immediately finished. It went 25, 95, done. So, okay, that's definitely not my new sound. Where's my new sound? Okay, it's going to be one of these. No, it's not. It pushed them back to the top. Bad. Nah, yeah, that's a chirp anyways. Okay. No. That's usable. Okay, so you definitely, this is one of those ones, and this actually kind of reiterates why I don't like the points on the generative side as opposed to, okay, you actually made me something useful, because that is not a bird chirping. All right, so we got our final one here to look at, and then I'm pretty much going to conclude the demonstration part of things, and that is animation. And this is, let's just say, no animator is going to lose their job anytime soon. But let's go ahead. We got to create our new animation right over here, like so. So this is using motion diffusion as its model, by the way. You can see right there. And let's just do... I don't know what prompts you use in... Let's just do waving. Like, I don't know the detail of the prompts when you're describing animation, because you don't, like, I've tried to describe it in the past, like say a walk and then a skip or whatever, but you don't know what animation it started as or what frame it started as. So you can see the result. Let me just, here, we'll make this bigger. And we'll make this bigger and bigger. And scale that up. All right, so here is our result. It's fine. I guess I could have showed you the preview down over here. So let's say run, then jump, then roll. All right, see what that does. We'll make this a 7-second long animation. It looks like there's a very big time limit on it. It looks like 10 seconds is as big as you can go for these. And now let's see how it does from this. So now I don't know how useful this is going to be when it doesn't start from... Okay, I forgot the jump. Try that again. Yeah, there's no jump in the middle there. Let's try it with a custom seed 90210. Generate that. So honestly, I don't think like the folks at Mixamo are going to be out of all that concerned as of yet, but yeah. Let's try a different one here, taking a shot, then falling over and dying. Let's see how it does. So these are pretty typical animation things that you would do. So let's see how it does with this one. That's actually probably the best so far, I would argue, of the animation. But you get an idea where animation is coming from. Now, this is technology that is definitely going to improve with time. And as you are prototyping, I can certainly see value here. But again, I don't think animators need to like worry for their job for a while. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is Unity AI. That is, I would say definitively, this is an upgrade on the stuff that existed before. The Muse stuff was definitely a tire fire. This stuff is, it's all going to come down to how they do this, to be honest. The technology is decent. And I think this side, this coding, running commands, especially the running commands, I think if this was built in as a value add feature to, say, if it was just in Unity Pro, but they got rid of the points, I think it would be a reason for people to upgrade to Unity Pro. I think this is a tangible... no questions asked, this makes the Unity experience better. Now, when it comes down to this stuff, this is where AI slop starts coming in, and people have varying opinions on the value of these things. For prototyping, for sure, I can see value there. I don't think sound effects companies or texture artists or anything need to worry about their jobs quite yet when it comes to this tech. And again, Gen AI is certainly where people question things the most, but it's really going to come down to a couple of things. First off, how much these points cost and how many of them you get. Second off, how they're going to train it, because if they have this that it's training on their developers' data. So if you're using my graphics and my code to train your AI model, this tech is dead on arrival. It's already toast. So hopefully they make it so that you have to opt in to share your data with them. And maybe they do it with an incentive. So you say, yeah, you can train off of my stuff anonymously, but you'll give me credits or something. Maybe that will work. But if they make it so that by default, this is training off of people's work, it's dead. It's a tire fire for sure. But as it stands, the tech, this side, this is wonderful. If it was just this alone and this was free, this would be one of my most glowing videos I ever created. I think that this is excellent. I think it's wonderful. I think it does a very good job. I think it's just basically progress. Gen AI side of things, that's a little bit more, and it's going to come down really to how it is ultimately implemented from a business perspective from Unity. But I'm curious, what do you think of Unity AI? First off, what do you think of it compared to Muse? Did you think Muse was a tire fire like I did? And now with what they have created here in Unity 6.2, do you think that this is a step forward or a step back? Let me know in the comments down below. And most important question, I guess, is can you see yourself using this if you are still in the Unity ecosystem? Let me know that as well. I will talk to you all later. Goodbye.